I don't like it. Not feeling this right now. Eerily quiet.
Okay. Short week. Trap game? Chiefs Broncos Sunday. Let's talk about it.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank. If you're thinking about starting a business or know someone who is, check out Emprise Bank's SBA loans. It's always good to know your options, and they can be your partner in possible.
Welcome into a live edition of the KC Laboratory presented by Emprise Bank, member FDIC, our incredible partners in possible here at KC Sports Network. Wednesdays are Matter Days here on KCSN. Matt Swanson here with Maddie Lane, Matt Hamilton. Matthew Lane, are you done going down your rabbit hole?
I'm absolutely not. I'm sorry. I'm distracted, fellas.
He held the show. He held the show up 5 minutes because he's going down a data rabbit hole. And instead of like focusing, he just kept talking.
There's a website I use to get like personnel numbers and EPA for certain personnel. And all of a sudden this week, every other week, this hasn't been a thing, but all of a sudden this week, 10 personnel is being run at like a 30% rate across the NFL, according to it. And that's just not true. And it has baffled me.
I've never seen this man this upset.
I am confused, but thankfully the Western Michigan Broncos have tied up the game against Northern Illinois, so everything is getting back on track. Things are great. Hamilton, I'm glad you're here. It is that time, like every single week. What were your thoughts on the Chiefs' victory? Another victory. The only undefeated team left. Back-to-back world champions. They just can't lose. Kansas City Chiefs beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in overtime. What were your thoughts on that game?
I mean, it was great to see the offense come back to life like that. The DeAndre Hopkins factor is just already off to an incredible start. And, you go back to that catch that he made in between three defenders. It's just seeing Mahomes have the confidence to make that throw again. Like, I've missed this. Haven't you guys missed seeing this? As great as last year was.
Tell me about it.
And even that, like, I love, like, the situational awareness from Mahomes, too, knowing it's third down. Hey, if this does get picked, it's a punt anyway. Like, let me take a shot. I have a guy down there that can make a play. But, yeah, it was so much fun to see that. And it's only going to get better as DeAndre figures out this offense more and more, because that's the scary part. It's like, Mahomes was talking about he didn't know what he was doing half the time, but the great part about it is they're on the same page, and there's that chemistry there between the two of them already. And it's kind of scary for the rest of the league right now that they're off to this hot of a start before DeAndre even has the offense down.
Hamilton, you've had DeAndre Hopkins on Up and Adams, correct? Is that right?
I don't know that we did. I know we had him on Good Morning Football a few times for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever seen DeAndre Hopkins as happy as he was after that game. He looked like someone said he was about to cry because he's just so happy to be playing with Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, you play with 25 different quarterbacks and Tom Savage and Brock Osweiler and all these guys. Like, he's the luckiest man in America right now.
Brock Osweiler.
That's the two names out of the names that have been mentioned. That's the one that gets you, not Tom Savage, but Brock Osweiler is the one that really floored you here.
Yeah, I mean, Tom Savage is pretty wild too.
Okay.
It is. It's pretty wild. That guy, man. Like, that was just a whole experience.
Who was the third string quarterback in Arizona he played with? Like David Blau or something? There was another.
No, the long named guy, not Sturdivant, but like Reveler.
Strevler, Chris Strevler.
Yeah.
Jeez, man.
Chris Strevler season. Probably. I don't even know if they were together when they were. But anyways, thank you all so much for coming and hanging out with us. Hey, I want to shout out Colby Moore here. Just moved from Hawaii to Missouri, and the worst part about it is I have to wait an extra 4 hours to hear the podcast. Happy Matter Day, though. Happy Matter Day to you, Colby. Although I'll be honest with you, man, I don't feel that bad that you have to wait 4 hours because you're in Hawaii. So, from Hawaii to Missouri. Yeah. Oh, never mind. Never mind. Sorry.
I feel terrible for you.
Okay, yeah, okay, hold on. Maybe we do feel bad for you, Colby. I'm sorry. No, I'm glad you are in Missouri. Glad you are listening in here. And I was correct. David Blau did throw passes to DeAndre Hopkins. So there's another fun one for you. Yeah.
Oh, wow. David Blau. Anyways, thank you all so much for hanging out with us tonight. It is the game preview episode. So we are going to be talking about things to watch on both sides of the football tonight. Players to watch, as we do every single week. And we will start with the offensive side of the ball. Hamilton, you were already alluding to it with just kind of seeing DeAndre Hopkins, shining in this game. And I don't think the Chiefs win that game without a DeAndre Hopkins. But this is obviously a big opportunity to kind of build on some of the success that we saw on the offensive side of the ball for the Chiefs. I thought they really finished strong in that game. 3 touchdowns in the second half and overtime, a little bit of situational football in between there, but like 10 plays, 70+ yards drives. They had 3 of them in the second half. I think you're hoping to see this team stack some more success on offense. What are you watching for that offense this week against the Broncos?
So the first thing I'm looking at, I think, is this run game, which is they're just bludgeoning teams right now. Another heavy workload on Kareem Hunt. A little bit shorter of a week coming off of Monday Night Football. I'm wondering, can we get a little more Carson Steele? I just no. I don't know how sustainable this is to just give the ball to Kareem Hunt 30 touches a game at this point. It's somewhat effective. They're getting positive yards. It's not pretty, but again, it's kind of working right now. But yeah, I'm looking to see if they involve these other running backs a little bit more this week, because I don't think you can continue to put that type of a workload on this guy throughout the course of the season. And the Broncos' run D has been pretty good this year as well. They're 5th in yards per carry against, top 10 overall. This defense overall for the Broncos, there's not a lot of household names other than Surtain on it. It's a bunch of younger players, a bunch of journeyman guys, but they've played really good football together. Vance Joseph, didn't think I'd be saying this, at any point, but Vance Joseph has done a phenomenal job with this group, and you gotta give him a ton of credit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised by how good the Broncos defense has been this year. Now, you got to hit it with the grain of salt, and that they hadn't played a lot of good offenses, and the ones that they had played, that had been where you'd start to see a few of the cracks, and then you kind of saw the entire damn break this past week against the Ravens. And listen, it's the Ravens. Their offense this year has been great. It's kind of like a grab bag. If on a certain week, you're not stopping. No matter what you do, there's no chance you're stopping that Ravens offense. So maybe that game's just a little bit of noise in what's going to continue to be an awesome year. But it's also worth noting that was, again, the first really good offense they've played since, week 1 or 2. And I wouldn't even say the Bucs at that time or the Seahawks were elite offenses. They were just good. So we'll see kind of what the Chiefs do here. They might be able to, poke and prod and find where they want to win. I do think teams like what Lamar Jackson's developed into, but then now Patrick Mahomes, what the Broncos do defensively, it might struggle against this type of offense. And what I mean by that is, like, a quarterback that just understands what's happening, right? You can overwhelm, you can throw some goofy stuff. And I don't mean that derogatory. I mean that good way, goofy stuff at some other quarterbacks and offenses, and they don't really know how to figure it out. They don't know what's happening when the picture changes post-snap. They don't know what to do when, hey, Patrick Surtain can lock down this guy. You can't go over there no matter what. Now we have all these other pieces moving around. Some quarterbacks in the NFL don't respond well to that. Patrick Mahomes is one of them that probably is okay having to handle whatever you're going to throw at him there. So we will see kind of how real I think this defense is going to be. But to Hamilton's point, they're kind of like the Chiefs defense in that there's not a ton of stars. There's a couple, but there's not a ton of them, but they just play. Everybody does the role. Everybody knows the role. They play off of each other really well, and they make you beat them. They're not going to beat themselves. They're going to make you beat them. They're going to make you out-execute them. And I think right now you're seeing in the NFL, that's been a very successful way to play defense, especially this year, as offenses have kind of taken a step back this over the past decade till now.
There's a lot of homegrown talent on that defense, so they're around a little bit longer there, so that can matter as well for sure. Maddie, how much 10 personnel do you think the Chiefs will be playing in this game?
Well, according to this one particular site, roughly 39%. But the Broncos, here's the thing: they're well versed at defending it. Roughly half their snaps have come against 10 personnel this year. So I guess Travis Kelce's just not playing in this game. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, any more injuries to the tight end room, they might have to be
Do you
playing.
want, do you want me to delay this more and rant more about 10 personnel? Is that what your goal is here?
No. I think one way you can kind of I think Hamilton kind of brought it up off the top is I think one way you can kind of remove some of the variability is bludgeon them to death with the run game and continue to put yourself in these favorable third down situations. Man, this team just I'm having a lot of I think I've said this multiple times this season. I'm having fun watching this version of the Kansas City Chiefs. I just kind of watching this team just come out here, try to win football games, turn around, hand the football off. We talk about Patrick Mahomes is bringing it up in a turning point or one of the mic'd up kind of segments that was happening this week. He was mic'd up and you can hear him in overtime talking about giving Kareem the ball, closing this thing out, turn around, hand the football off, at the goal line. And the Chiefs did that. And, I think I like watching them do this. I like watching them run the football a little bit. And I'm cool with just kind of how they're operating right now. So, if you want to keep teams from getting cute, getting exotic, giving you and throwing a bunch of looks at you, just run the football and run it effectively. And then you give yourselves a lot more options and a lot more ways to attack if you're in a more manageable third down situation.
Yeah, and they ran 83 plays in that game, which is just, it's unbelievable. And really, even when they got down, it's one of these, I gotta be, I never felt any doubt that they were going to win this game. It's just, it really is. It's inevitable with this team. You just feel it when you're watching. There's some teams you watch and oh, I don't know, this might get. I never felt like that game was in doubt, even though the Bucs really played well given the circumstances and hung with them. And Baker fought his ass off, but you're never really concerned about it. And the other thing I'm interested just with this matchup against the Broncos are a pretty heavy blitz team. They have the third highest blitz rate in the league right now, and that's something that I don't know if you can survive with that against this offense, against Mahomes, again the chemistry that he has with Kelsey, with DeAndre Hopkins. I think that's a recipe for disaster. So I wonder how much the Broncos kind of change or shift away from what's been their defensive identity so far this season.
Yeah, blitzing the Chiefs has been more popular the last 2 years. And I think as teams saw that the Chiefs have struggled at the wide receiver position, specifically to just, play correctly, and be reliable players, blitzing the Chiefs has become a lot more viable of an option because you that Travis Kelce is going to be your outlet player. You take him away and then you have to figure out, and then you say, hey, will anybody else get open? And, a lot of times over the past 2 years, it's been a little bit more of a struggle. The Chiefs are obviously still good versus the blitz, but it's not the same, just otherworldly great. You absolutely can't do it than it was from 2018 to 2022. Now, I'm curious as Kelsey's playing a little bit better, as DeAndre Hopkins is here getting more comfortable in the system. Xavier Worthy, while he doesn't have, he hasn't had his best foot forward for a lot of these games, they seem to trust him a little bit more than they have some other young receivers. They are going back to him. They are trying to get him involved. So I wonder if they're a little bit more comfortable with what they have. And so that makes them super dangerous against the blitz. Again, this might be one of the games where we get to really see that, right? We'll get to see what they can do against the blitz. I wanted to go back to the run game a little bit too, though. This matchup's going to be interesting because the Broncos' run defense is good. They're top 10 versus the rush in most of the metrics you can come across. What they're really good at is forcing negative plays. They stuff runs. They make you get negative plays. What the Chiefs don't do in the run game is take negative plays. They might not be more than 4 yards until the fourth quarter. Every run might be less than 4 yards, but they're not taking negative plays. The Broncos kind of live with their rushing game being so good on forcing those negative plays. So which side wins out? I will say it's starting to stand out a little bit more and more. And I know this last game, Kareem Hunt had a few flashy plays where he broke some tackles, had some longer runs, which was nice to see. He is still currently, I believe, about 42nd in the NFL in rush yards over expectation, which just means he's not really getting anything that's not there. He's averaging, almost a half yard less than expected on every run. And we're starting to notice, I think we talked about it a little bit, I think off air, Kent, he's starting to get tackled behind where the offensive line is on a lot of plays. The offensive line starting to outpace him down the field a little bit. And so this would be a game where it would really behoove him to, make sure he's getting as much as they're giving him. If you were going to get a good Kareem Hunt performance where he forces some more of those missed tackles, this might be a good game for that to go. if the Chiefs want to lean on that, because that has not been looking great for the Chiefs the past few weeks.
Yeah, at least it's on a short week with 80 plus plays. That's I think the interior offensive line has done a pretty good job of keeping the line of scrimmage clean though to this point. And some of the success from the Broncos getting some of these negative plays, a little bit of run blitzing. So like if you're keeping an eye on that, are they going to do that? How are they going to try to disrupt this scheme, this very diversified scheme that the Chiefs have? With a lot of their man concepts. So good luck on that to the Broncos. I think that'll be a good challenge. And I think that's, really the root of why the Chiefs have not taken negative plays, I think largely falls on what the interior offensive line has done to this point in the season. So I think you're talking about one of the strongest points of this team right now. Good luck. I think that you're going to see, no team has been able to really put the Chiefs in negative situations when it comes to the run game. Right. And you can talk about strength against strength, but it's just consistently 8 straight weeks. It's just the same old story. I do feel like that's going to continue to be an advantage of this team. They continue to do that at a high level. I just have a lot of confidence in their ability to do that. Hamilton, anything else you're looking at in this game?
I did just want to say, so I just looking back at last year when the Broncos did beat the Chiefs, and they did have a very different defense personnel-wise. They've undergone a lot of changes, but you go back to that game, they did blitz significantly less in that game. They're blitzing at about 37% of snaps right now. That game they were 22% blitz. So we'll see if they kind of follow that same formula here in this one.
The Broncos were one of the first teams I think that really made the new way that I think a lot of the better teams, a lot of the rival teams like to rush Patrick Mahomes. They like to rush 3 or 4, but when they rush 4, they do those long stunts from essentially the offense's left side all the way out to the right, whether it's a D tackle or defensive end. They just almost essentially give up on that player rushing it all from his side, and they just loop him around to almost spy or contain. And they were the first team to kind of do that. They are trying to force Mahomes to scramble to his right because they know that's where he's the most comfortable. And they're kind of trying to bait him into it a little bit. And the Broncos started that years ago, and they've had success with it. Some game plans it's really worked. Others it obviously has not. But it feels like they still hold on to that. They've gone through different defensive coordinators through that time, but it seems like they do still get into that game plan. Obviously, a lot of teams do. And I think we've seen the past few weeks, Patrick Mahomes has made it very specific note to try to stay in the pocket, sometimes to the detriment of, I think, the offense. I think he sat in there too long at times and not escape because he's trying to get more comfortable in there. He's probably trying to build up his confidence, the offensive line's confidence, get everything working. So he is trying to stay in his pocket. So we're just going to have to see that cat and mouse game of when are the Broncos actually sending all of the pressure trying to get home? When are they going to try to play a little bit softer, contain rush, and not let him get out of the pocket? Especially coming after a week where Lamar kind of beat them getting out of the pocket a few times too. I wonder if you get that kind of passive rush trying to get Mahomes to run into the pressures. And if that's the case, the way he's been playing in the pocket is going to be very needed for him to feel comfortable back there and try to deliver the ball around.
All right, let's go to players to watch on the offensive side of the football, presented by Tickets for Less. Promo code KCSN gets you the best discount available at ticketsforless.com. Hamilton, give me an offensive player to watch.
All right, so there's 18 weeks in the season, 11 stars on offense. So I am gonna do a little bit of a double up here.
Let's go.
I apologize, but
no, it's great.
But because of the matchup specifically, I'm looking at DeAndre Hopkins again because I'm assuming he's gonna draw Patrick Surtain for the majority of this game. And Surtain's been playing at a phenomenal level this year when he's been healthy. He missed a couple of weeks there with an injury, but I'm again, another week in this offense. You're expecting another step forward from DeAndre, but drawing that matchup, I think it's going to be incredible to watch. And it's going to be one of the keys to this game because if Surtain can eliminate him, that gives the Broncos a chance to win. If Hopkins is able to make some big plays against Surtain, I don't see any way the Broncos are going to win this game. So that's going to be the key matchup I'm looking for. DeAndre Hopkins, Surtain. Whoever wins that battle, I think has a great chance of winning this game.
That's a good one. I'm going to leave a good one out there for Kent taking over. if he takes it. We're going to leave one out there. Going to let one sit out there for a second. Because if not, we got to circle back this. I do have something else to say if you don't take somebody particular. But I'm going to go Xavier Worthy. We need a bounce back game. I don't even need a big game, but we need a bounce back game. I think the Ravens last week found some gaps deeper down the field against the Broncos. They were able to hit 5 throws over 20 yards in that game. A couple of them were broken plays. A couple of them were broken coverages, but they were also finding some space downfield, specifically over the middle of the field a few times. So is this a game where the Chiefs, and it doesn't have to be a lot, but they can find that one deep shot to Worthy that really starts to back off the defense, to start to make defenses respected again? It's not really a blown coverage, just a poorly played play this last week against the Bucs that Worthy should have had a touchdown on, and he kind of forgot where the sideline was. But like plays like that are always going to be available for him every couple weeks. Is this going to be another one where he has a little bit of a bounce back game because he's not coming off his best string of games here for the Chiefs, and I do think they need him down the stretch, at least unless they get some help off the IR down the stretch of the season.
So I'll go Wanya Morris. I think he had a good performance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week. I think he is going to have some challenges here with some speed up the arc, I think, with a Nick Bonito. So I'm fascinated to see, or even a Jonathan Cooper. But I think that's going to be a good test for Wanya Morris to see how he does against this Broncos rush and some of these quicker speed rush types. So see if he can continue to stack good games together. I thought he had a pretty good one this week, and hopefully he has another one next week. Did you guys know that? Oh no, you go.
I was gonna say that's not kind of the guy I want to do. I just gonna say the interior offensive line in general. I just didn't want to take them all again. Zach Allen's been awesome this year for the Broncos. Like he's the one other guy that's like I don't think he's a star, but he's bordering on playing like a star for them this year. And yet he rushes from over the tackle or inside as a D tackle plenty. So like he's gonna go all over the place in the D line. But specifically, I think kind of getting him matched up with Trey Smith, who we know can be volatile in pass pro. Some weeks, some plays can be perfect, and other plays he can give up quick pressure. So just can the Chiefs mitigate Zach Allen, whether it's a Wanya Morris on the edge or the interior offensive line? Because I do think if you're going to pick out one other defender not named Patrick Surtain that can win this game or win this defense versus offensive matchup, it's going to be Zach Allen. So I just want to make sure that we get his name in there because you got to kind of watch out for him, I think, in the defense play they're playing this year.
That's a good one. That's a good job, Matthew. So about 10 years ago, maybe actually it was more than 10 years ago now, I was a season ticket holder for the Chiefs, and I was lucky enough to kind of hold the flag at kickoff and stuff right before the game. Got to be on the field at Arrowhead. It was a Chiefs Broncos game. I was I was right there. I think it might have been the game Noshawn Moreno was crying, if I remember correctly. I was right by Wes Welker, Peyton Manning. It was a really cool experience getting to be on the field, holding the American flag. I think it was like a perk for being a season ticket holder or something like that. Well, some lucky fan is going to be on the 50-yard line at Arrowhead Stadium, GEH Field at Arrowhead Stadium. Calling all Chiefs fans, you could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA. You can enter to win a chance to be on the field for the march to the three-peat. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm telling you, if you can find an opportunity to get on the field for something like that, it's insane. It is absolutely insane. It's surreal. GEHA is cool enough to be giving you an opportunity to do that. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this.
Shop Chiefs tickets and more with no fees. Plus, save big with code KCSN at ticketsforless.com, the official ticket provider of KC Sports Network.
Thanks, everyone, hanging out with us tonight here on the game preview edition of the KC Laboratory. It's time to talk about the defensive side of the ball. All righty, let's go, Maddie Lane. What's something you're watching for Chief defense versus the Broncos offense?
Historically, there's a few defensive coordinators when you have a rookie quarterback or just a young, inexperienced quarterback you don't want to play because, the results aren't on your side. And, well, Steve Spagnuolo is one of those names that is high up on that list. And, boy, Bo Nix has played well enough for the Broncos this year. I think Sean Payton's done a great job getting that offense to work with what Bo Nix is offering him. He's made some nice plays, but he's also Payton's doing a fantastic job. I think Steve Spagnuolo can mitigate the advantage that Payton has over a lot of other defensive coordinators. And then also now you're putting Bo Nix in a situation where he kind of has to read things out. He has to process it without everything just winning right then at the snap over and over again. And I don't know if Bo Nix is ready for that. I just kind of looking back at all the young quarterbacks that Spags has played and just how their heads just start spinning and just really spinning. And you look, there's a couple guys out there that did well, like Jordan Love in his first matchup against Spags actually did pretty well against it. And like, oh wait, guess who's like a pretty good quarterback now? Jordan Love. So I guess it's kind of like a litmus test. Can Bo Nix not look like a fish out of water against what Spags is about to bring? Because if he doesn't, I mean, if he does look fine, then okay, then maybe the Chiefs have a little something to worry about in the future as the Broncos get better. But if not, I kind of know. I kind of think there's one of those games where Spags kind of empties a little bit of stuff out there. He makes the rookie realize, oh, this isn't college anymore. This is a lot. This is even worse than the SEC. There's no other league I can go run to now to get away from these better, like physical defenses that are doing a lot of stuff. So I just got my eyes on this Spags versus a rookie quarterback matchup and just giving him a lot to think about as the play progresses.
And I saw an incredible, just speaking of Spags and this defense holistically, I saw an incredible stat this afternoon that the Chiefs have allowed fewer than 28 points in 29 straight games, which is the longest streak in over 20 years.
Machine, dude. Just a machine.
Early 2000s Eagles with Andy Reid. So it's incredible. And yeah, this Broncos offense, you're right, give Sean Payton a lot of credit for what he's been able to squeeze out of them. It's a bizarre offense right now with what they have to work with. Bo Nix has been their best runner by far, and Cortland Sutton's been their best passer. Lil Jordan Humphrey is third in receiving on this team. It's strange. I love Cortland Sutton. He's a very good receiver. He's not someone who scares. There's not a threat really on this offense. I honestly think that the biggest threat that they have is Bo Nix when he's able to run. That's where a lot of their big plays have come from. That's why it's hard. It's hard for me. Bo hasn't done a great job when he's been confined to the pocket this year. But it's almost hard to judge him sometimes because where are the playmakers on this team outside of Cortland Sutton? And if the Chiefs are able to keep him confined, I don't know how this offense is really going to sustain much. I mean, that Ravens defense, the Ravens secondary has been abysmal all year, and they couldn't get anything going against them outside of that trick play. So that's really the key to me for Kintz is just keep Bo from beating you with his legs, keep him confined to the pocket. You don't even really have to pressure him. You just have to keep him in the pocket, and he's going to be uncomfortable.
Okay, this is a fun game. Before you go, Ken, this is a fun game. Least scary offenses, not including coaching staffs, just offensive lineups in the NFL. Raiders got to be like number one. The Raiders got to be the first on there. But like, who else is definitely ahead of the Broncos?
Ahead, like in the
who's worse?
Yeah,
just who's the least scary offense? Like maybe
Panthers?
But at least I can pick out maybe some players that are kind of like fun. But like maybe the Panthers,
Patriots,
maybe
Drake May though. I just counter with Drake May, and I say that's at least like semi-scary.
Yeah. No,
maybe
true.
do something.
It's a good point. I had Jacoby Brissett still in my head, honestly. Can't shake.
Yeah,
that.
even the Browns, as bad as they've been, I felt like we saw a little life out of them with Jameis and Cedric.
Right, yeah. I mean, it's a wild experience, but like in a given random week, Jameis Winston can play good. He can also play terrible.
Titans are fun.
Yeah.
It's just like
Titans.
They got they got to be like the second or third least scary team. So it's just fun.
I'm sorry, I'm just looking down. Bengals.
It's a great exercise. Yeah.
No, I don't know, man. Nope, Kamara. Yeah, this is
that's what I mean.
Okay, boring, unfun, bad team. It's almost like maybe they shouldn't have traded away Jerry Jeudy and gotten rid of Tim Patrick and actively just said, "Hey, I want Devon Vele now." We're a Devon Vele team now. It's almost like they're scapegoating all of the former players from the past. out of the ego of the head coach for some reason or something like that. I don't know. That would be insane. But like this is what it looks like, right? And like I credit Sean Payton for doing more with less that he chose to have. But they've been able to generate things from time to time. I think it's been very up and down. It's been a very up and down offense, a very inconsistent offense. That's to be expected. With Bo Nix being at the quarterback and getting being thrown into the fire. I think game script matters a lot when you're talking about this team and their offensive identity or how they want to play this football game. They know they have a good defense, and if they get put in a position where they have to play from behind, it could be a little bit more challenging for them to be able to generate consistent offense. So like I think that's part of the deal here, right? Is like how if the Chiefs hey look, they're going to try to run the football still a little bit. And if the Chiefs continue to do what they've done on the offense, or two offenses trying to run the football on them, like I think they're going to put themselves in a really good situation for Steve Spagnuolo to line up against Bo Nix and do Steve Spagnuolo things to a rookie quarterback. And so like I think it still always just kind of ties to that. It is hard to pin down what this team is going for, though. To your point, like it doesn't feel like they have like a great. It's identity. It's just an identity problem issue for me. Like I don't know what they're wanting to accomplish,
or what they do well.
I think the plan was to be like a smash mouth run team last year when they built it. When Sean Payton built it last year, it was supposed to be like smash mouth run team, and then this year you thought they were going to continue to like attempt to do that, but their run game is not good at all. Like it's quite bad, and so like it's just like what are you getting out of it? Like where is the goal? It seems like their goal is to scheme up specific like shot plays and stuff like that to really create explosives. But then you look at the receivers they're throwing to, and like, well, Cortland Sutton is a quality receiver. Given the injuries he's gone through and stuff at this point in his career, he's definitely not a dynamic player. He's a very specific type of wide receiver that's kind of limited to that one role now. So it's just they really struggle to find a way to not only move the ball like consistently, but then to also create these explosive plays. And it becomes a lot of Bo Nix kind of playing playground ball, which he has done well this year. Like the Hamilton said it earlier, he's been good when he's kind of breaking contain and getting out on the move, whether as a scrambler or throwing on the move. He's been relatively good at that this year, but it just, I don't know how sustainable that is throughout an entire season. I also don't know how sustainable that is when you go up against a defense that's going to be constantly changing looks, that's kind of getting a little bit more of a feel and tape on what you're trying to do. So I don't know. I mean, I was kind of going through and looking at Bo Nix stats. Like, obviously, any quarterback gets worse when under pressure, but he gets quite a bit worse, whether it's blitzed or not blitzed. Like, his completion percentage drops a ton. He starts making a lot less, starts making more turnover-worthy throws. So you can blitz him, you can drop guys out and confuse them. It just seems like there's a lot of different ways to stop this defense. And their offense doesn't really have a lot of ways to beat any defense, but let alone one like the Chiefs that I just don't think is going to be really overly stressed by anything the Broncos bring to the table.
Yeah, and especially, you talk about wanting to establish a smash mouth identity. You can't do that against this defense. No one's been able to do it all year. The Bucs have had so much success running the football all season long, and they had nothing going up against this front. So, I think it's going to be a long day for Bo Nix.
I hope so. Don't get into the prediction game too quickly, though. We still got defensive players to watch. Matthew Lane.
Boy, you're sure cutting that defensive end short on what we're looking for in this game.
Unless you had more.
Well, yeah, I do.
Today. Yeah.
Please.
Hey, listen, can we go pause? Timeout. Thank you, Springer. All right. Sorry, Matthew Lane, do you have anything else you'd like to say about the defensive side of the ball for the Chiefs?
I do.
By the way, not that much shorter than what we just did on the offensive side of the ball, by the way. I'll show you the timestamps later. It goes like 4.5 minutes of nonsense and tomfoolery, and then like a good, 10 to 12 minutes of us talking about the the offensive side of the ball. And then it's like a good 2 or 3 minutes of offensive players to watch, and then it's a break. So, anyways,
he's got to talk about 10 personnel. It's fine. Let him
this was a great filibuster to try to drag the defensive time a little bit longer by you. I think this is an excellent job by you to try to prolong this. Okay, we did mention a little bit. Sean Payton's been very good this year. Sean Payton's got some issues as a manager of a football team for sure. But as an offensive coach, he's been doing a really good job this year. And like for all the critique that we've been giving Bo Nix in this offense of not being scary, and they're still not a good offense, they have found ways to function. They have found ways to put stress on teams. So if I'm looking through a lens, Sean Payton's going to watch the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just did this past week to the Chiefs. They're going to get the ball out really quick. They're going to throw it to their running backs, their tight ends, receivers lining in like tight ends a ton, and they're kind of going to go after this Chiefs second level linebacker group. And it's been since the beginning of the year where I felt like the Chiefs linebackers were really getting targeted, and it was successful. And not just like, oh, here's a play here and there, but like consistently the Bucs were having success making these Chiefs linebackers fly out to the flat, making them cover crossers and stuff like that. And we really hadn't seen that since the first couple weeks when it seemed like Nick Bolton was getting back into shape. It was very apparent that the lack of athleticism of this Chiefs second level of this defense when they're getting out in space, it was very apparent versus the Bucs. It was still a problem. And so if I'm Sean Payton, I'm sitting here looking how I'm going to attack this Chiefs defense, it's going to be the same thing. And I think it's really hard to run a full offense week in and week out the way the Bucs did. Like, I don't think that's an offense you can replicate over and over again. But can the Broncos borrow some of that stuff that Liam Cohen was running this last week? Can they get some get a lot of screens, a lot of tight ends working underneath, clear out routes and stuff, and then just forcing Drew Tranquill, who looks significantly slower this year than he did last year, forcing Nick Bolton to close on stuff. I imagine the Broncos might try to play a little bit of ball control like that. Just hold the ball, matriculate down the field, try to pick up first down after first down by throwing these little passes out to the flat. And like, what's the Chiefs' counter to it? Without Jalen Watson, I don't know if they feel comfortable having the safeties insert into these underneath coverages over and over again. We saw in stretches, Brian Cook, Justin Herbert flying up to help those linebackers and make plays. But then when you're not working with Watson out there and Najee Johnson's hurt and you're having to rely on Joshua Williams or Christian Roland Wallace, who, there's some weaknesses there. And maybe they feel those corners need the help of the safeties like Watson didn't earlier in the year. So I'm curious of the Chiefs adjustment and if Sean Payton tries to go back to that same game plan the Bucs use, because I do think you start to see a couple cracks in what the Chiefs were doing, at least in that particular game.
Yeah, you got to know where Lucas Krull is at all times. Got to have eyes on him.
Hey, Lucas Krull from Shawnee, Kansas, by the way. So he's in the KC.
Did he go to Circle High School too, or no?
No, and he didn't go to
Triangle.
Center High School either.
Triangle. Okay.
I think he went to Mill Valley, but someone's gonna destroy me if that's wrong.
Where's Tucker in the comments from the Creed concert? I'm sure it'll be him.
Yeah. He'll know. Oh, Tucker will know. Anyways, Hamilton, anything on the defensive side of the football that you would like to discuss here?
Yeah, I appreciate you after that blow up before. Being courteous, trying to get me involved. But I'm ready to move to defensive players to watch here.
Okay. Well, Lucas Krull did go to Mill Valley. By the way, we interviewed Lucas Krull at the East West Shrine Bowl. I think this was the first year we went too. So it was cool. It was cool to talk to him, and less cool now that he's a Bronco. I would like to switch. I've decided, you know what? I think we're going to finally move on to defensive players to watch.
Yeah, that's a good amount of time on the defense.
Yeah, Matthew Lane, I think we're going to start with you.
Oh, okay. Give me Trent McDuffie. I'm going to continue my same trend here of guys that I don't think are coming off just like their best performances recently. And not that Trent McDuffie's been poor or anything like that, but I don't think he's had as impactful games these past couple games that he did to start the year. And part of that, I think, is the role he's playing. Part of that, I think, are offenses trying to attack the Chiefs in different ways. And it's not like we talked about. The Broncos don't have receivers that you anticipate really threatening these corners. But if Trent McDuffie is to be out there and this team has to use their safeties to protect these other positions that we're talking about, I need Trent McDuffie to completely lock up somebody, to make plays when it comes his way, to not take the bait on a play action play in the end zone and give up the game tying touchdown right before the game ends. Like, things like that are not what you expect out of your all pro number one corner. Things happen, but bounce back game for Trent. Cause I do think there's been a couple weeks in a row now where he's had a couple penalties, maybe hasn't been playing his best ball. And so this is another game just to get right versus not a super strong level competition.
Hamilton.
All right, I'm going to go with someone who has been playing really well lately and has been turning it up week after week. I'm going to go George Karlaftis. He was seemingly everywhere, relentless against the Bucs on Monday night. Had a sack taken away, even with that holding penalty on McDuffie. But I do think, it's going to come down to one, as we talked about, keeping Bo Nix in the pocket, but two, generating some pressure. And I think this could be an ugly game in a lot of ways. The Broncos are going to want it to be an ugly game. And if it does turn into one of those slogs that we've seen with the Chiefs, I'm hoping they've gotten to this point where they're past as this offense has picked up and, gotten in rhythm here over the last couple of weeks. But if it is a slog, once again, it could come down to generating negative plays and forcing turnovers. And, Bo Nix is going to give you a few chances to do that. And I think Karlaftis, with the way he's been playing, is going to make a couple of big plays in this game for Kansas City.
Last week, you asked me to make the entire linebacking core my player to watch, in keeping with a consistent theme that you all were doing. And I just said, nope, I'm going to go with the entire linebacking core this week.
Let's go.
Here's the thing. Rough game last week, I think, for the linebackers. And one of the things that the Bucs did a good job was stretching this defense horizontally and forcing the linebackers to play and chase and getting these edge runs. And the successful runs for the Bucs weren't of the variety that you see with them, trying to run in between the tackles. It was these edge runs gives to the most explosive run was the Sterling Shepard jet play. And like they kind of
third and one.
Kept some things in that same vein, is just trying to stretch them horizontally, and the backers really didn't do a great job responding. Now, it could be a little bit of the rain, like it could be a little bit of the weather stuff that these guys were, not able to, get down the line as much as they wanted to. But man, I could see teams trying to replicate that piece of it, just getting more just like horizontal run game against the Chiefs to try to see if you can kind of make them think about it a little bit more, maybe loosen up that interior a little bit. So I think the linebackers play a big role playing in that. And so we'll see what happens there. I'm keeping an eye on these linebackers in this game. I want to see if they have a bounce back. Okay. Game prediction time. Matthew Hamilton, what do you think happens in this football game?
Don't like that.
I've picked the Chiefs to win a few games easily, and they've made it hard every single week. At some point, I feel like they are going to have one that doesn't feel like it's going to come down to the wire and drive Chiefs fans insane. I think there's a good chance it could be this week. So I'm going to say the Chiefs take this one 24-9. I think they keep Denver out of the end zone. We see the Broncos move the ball a few times, but have to settle for some field goals. And I think this offense, has a solid day against what has been a good defense.
Matt
yeah, my
Lane.
bad.
Yeah.
My bad is me. Man, I'm with Hamilton here. I picked a fair amount, not a blowouts, but like comfortable wins that have not been comfortable. And like it's frustrating because you watch the Chiefs and you're watching these games and you're like, that looks like a team that's clearly better than their opponent. Why aren't they up by 3 scores right now? And it's just a bunch of silly mistakes. Then you go and look, like, oh, they were great in the red zone. They were great on third down. Why are they not scoring more points? Like, what are these mistakes? Where are they even showing up? So it's really weird how the Chiefs can continually put out relatively good performances in like a lot of the important metrics and still play a bunch of close games. I think getting a divisional opponent like the Broncos, who just got, just dog walked off the field last week, on a short week, sandwiched in between the Chiefs on the short week and then going and having the Bills the following week. I think it's a tough spot. It's a little trap gamey for them a little bit. I don't think the Chiefs really fall victim to trap games under Andy Reid right now. They have lazy games, but I don't know if it's necessarily because they're not ready to play. They just have bad games sometimes. I don't know if that's this, but I expect it to be ugly. I expect this to be a gross game. I don't know if this is a game we come out of and say, yes, the offense is putting it together or the defense completely took everything away. I could just see it being a lot of silly stuff, kind of like that Bucs game was where things were really close, just a little bit lower scoring. So I'm going to take the Chiefs 23 to 20 in a game that's way closer than it should be when you look at how the two teams play, but it just seems like a Chiefs type of game right now.
And I do want to say too, Maddie, as far as the trap game, if you're facing a division rival that beat you the last time you played, you're not getting trapped like this.
Hard to be a trap.
Yeah, we know the Chiefs are going to come out with come out focused and take this seriously.
Yeah, the path to making the playoffs is always through your division, and teams place in a disproportionate amount of time historically on making sure that they have their division locked up. They're built to win in their divisions, and I it feels like the Chiefs might have ascended beyond that a little bit, but no, they're still trying to take care of business still, and I think they'll have some things ready for them, especially since Hamilton. This could be the last time that the starters are playing the Denver Broncos if everything goes
I was
well.
about to say, it might be the last time the starters play this year. They can. We're almost there.
I'm not gonna get too far ahead of myself. I mean,
okay.
You did
week
this in
one,
week.
you were.
Week one,
one,
we
that
did.
was
Fine.
okay.
Okay.
I'm not gonna get my.
Fine, we'll say it because the Chiefs are undefeated and they're in a really good shape. If they take care of this week and next week, there is a very good chance that Carson Wentz is starting on Netflix on Christmas Day against the Pittsburgh Steelers because they don't need Patrick Mahomes to play.
You were on Thanksgiving weekend when we were week one. Come on, Christmas Day.
Yeah, Texans fine. No, Black Friday, we're good.
Yeah.
Hamilton, the last time that the Chiefs lost to the Denver Broncos, the score was 24-9, by the way. Just so you know. So I thought that was a fun little, I don't know if you meant to do it.
It might have just been in my head, yeah.
Probably. Let's slop them up, is what I say. That's what this game is about to be. I think it's going to be a really ugly football game. Last week, I was with you guys and predicted, a pretty comfortable win. And I told myself at the beginning of the year I just wasn't going to do that, and then I did it. I'm going to attribute that to peer pressure, even though I didn't succumb to the peer pressure of picking an entire position group last week. I think this is an ugly football game. I don't know if it's like a quote unquote, trap game. Like I think the Broncos will go live in the mud with the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs I think Maddie said a couple weeks ago, they'll drag you into the mud and they'll just go play. They don't care how you play, what kind of style of football you play. They're going to line up and they're going to do what they do. And I think the Broncos are fine doing that too, because that seems like the only way that they can win any game. Really is I think it's a lot of ugly that they typically. And so I think. I don't think the offense looks great. I think they do enough to put a lot of field goals on the board. I think the defense plays well, and the Denver offense simply just can't do enough to really kind of, make this a real game. I think it's 19-13 Chiefs win.
You know what the Chiefs are? Kangaroos, they go out into into a body of water and they sit there with just their heads above water, when there's wild dogs and stuff around that might attack them, and they act like they're drowning till something comes out there to try to get them, and they just drown the dog in the water. That's the Chiefs. They're just baiting teams to think they're drowning in the water in the mud, and they're just trying to bait them out there so they can live in the mud and play this ugly game and win over and over again. So Chiefs are just kangaroos, man.
It was kind of a horrifying metaphor.
Yeah, you haven't heard that? Oh, man, I watch too many nature documentaries to go to sleep. Way too many. This is how we go to sleep, is watching kangaroos, just pretend to drown.
Springer in the show.
Ken's disturbed by this. I don't know why he's surprised. He knows this.
We love you. We